Fighting games are the most satisfying video game out there. Disclaimer, this is my opinion. I know there are many other topics and genres out there. This is my opinion. Thank you. What's up, guys? Blackman Games here, back with another video, ranting into your dome piece. Today's rant a little more differently. I want to talk about how I believe fighting games are the most satisfying video games out there. This has come to mind recently when I started playing Tekken. I believe that's probably the hardest fighting game to play in the world. And me learning how to play that game has probably brought me to the realization that fighting games are super satisfying. The more I started learning that game, the more combos I started hitting, the more games I played online, the more I just feel like that fighting games are super satisfying. And the fact that we have our own like Super Bowl for fighting games alone in the form of Evo is just amazing. Yes, I know there are other tournaments for games like Overwatch or Dota tournaments or League of Legends tournaments, but I feel like having just a whole event for a bunch of fighting games, not just one game, for a bunch of fighting games that ever comes together and plays is just so interesting, and kind of shows that fighting games is kind of on the come up right now. And I feel like the biggest part of that is the PvP aspect of the game. Let's go! Oh, I did the wrong move. I did the wrong move. Oh, yo, still! Holy... I should have not won there. I should have not won. I should have won. And I feel like PvP adds a huge layer to a video game. Single player games, they have a lot to it, especially platformers or action RPG games. There's a lot that can go into it. Dark Souls is a very interesting game because it's very hard, very tedious to learn how the boss works. Or platformers, speedrunners who learn the littlest things about every map and know how to get through it quickly is really interesting and really cool. But I feel like there is a limit to that. Once you learn how to beat that boss, once you learn how to get through that map really quickly, there's not much to it. With that online feature, you're playing against another person. There's not much you can like fully learn. If you learn how to play the game perfectly, that's not gonna matter when you're playing against someone who plays so differently than you've ever seen before. If you've been fighting for, let's say, 2 years, a bunch of people who know how to play the game perfectly and know all the micro stuff, and you play someone who likes to mash a lot, you're gonna be so used to that person who waits for this and let you do your block strings. If someone's just mashing on everything you do, now you have to change how you're playing. Now you change your block strings up. And yes, you will adapt to them because you are better and playing more time than them. But the fact that you have to adapt and learn and that they have a chance of winning because of their different playstyle is what's so interesting to play PvP games. A huge showing of this is a game between Fighterz and Gak. Fighterz is a very good Japanese pro player for Dragon Ball Fighterz, and Gak is probably the meme of Dragon Ball Fighterz. If you know of him, you know of him. He is probably the most unorthodox player ever to play in a fighting game history. I sometimes think he's even a bot. I think he is a bot. But they had a match before, a couple matches a while back, and Gak took some matches off from Fighterz. Fighterz did, after a couple rounds, probably 2-3 rounds, started putting in the work, but the fact that Fighterz had to adapt to that playstyle and not know what to do at first, so he kept losing, is just showing that fighting games, there are so many different aspects to it, that just because you're good doesn't mean you're gonna beat every single person. That you don't get with a lot of other video games. Yes, in Call of Duty there is another person you have to learn to the moveset, but there's so much going on and it's so hectic that you can't even like process, alright, this person likes to do this and this. There's so many different loadouts, there's so many different teams, there's so many different objectives that it's kind of a little random to really get anything. Plus the match moves too fast for you to actually sit there and learn what every person does. It's just, you run up to someone and you shoot them. It feels more like a hack and slash in Call of Duty than anything else. Fighting games, you get that one-on-one strategy where you can actually go into your opponent's head and try to figure out, alright, what are they going to do here? What are they going to do there? And once you get that downloaded and learn everything they do and start punishing it, it's the most satisfying thing to do. Because now they're on the back foot because you're actually adjusting to them. In fighting games, you can learn how to fight one person. You go to fight someone else, now you gotta relearn that. And just being able to do that consistently and quickly is the most interesting thing to do. And I feel like you only really get that because of the rosters of the game. All the different characters in the game is what makes these different type of playstyles possible. Now, I know I said this video is an opinion, and I stand by that statement, but with this part, I kind of have to say, fighting games have the best rosters, and they have the best characters. Now, you can argue that a lot of single-player games do have good characters, which I agree. Ellie and Joel's relationship and characters are pretty interesting in The Last of Us. The God of War characters are pretty cool. Kratos and his son, their relationship was really cool. Ratchet and Clank, Sonic, Mario, those characters are very, very iconic and interesting characters. But I feel like fighting game characters have a bigger roster for you to pull from, and they have so much more to offer. You got MVC3, where you had a whole cast roster of Marvel characters, where you could play as who never had a game before, never even seen the day of light in a video game, or haven't been seen in a while, and now you get to play as them, versus a whole group of Capcom characters who are really known for their games and they're fighting against each other. That is the most interesting thing to see. Dragon Ball Fighterz, a game that blew up because of its cast being a fighting game. Injustice blew up too because it's DC characters, a lot of them who don't have games or won't be represented in any other game, being in a game. Even those games that have original characters, Street Fighter, Tekken, Mortal Kombat, those games start off with original characters, and those characters became loved characters by so many people. Fighting games, you have minimum 25, 30 characters to pick from. Single player games only gives you a handful of characters to really like enjoy and love, which means yes, they get to flesh out those characters more, but if you don't fit with those 2-3 play styles or 2-3 personalities, then you're not really going to enjoy it. Fighting games, you have many different play styles to play as, so you always find a character you like. You have so many different characters to choose with so many different personalities and backstories. Even if you don't know the backstory, just the pure nature of them playing in the game and how they move and how the little like things they do is super, super interesting. I love Colleen's back walk from Street Fighter 5. She just walks back and points down at her opponent, telling them like in a disrespectful way. I think that's so fun and so interesting. She's not my favorite character in the game, but I just love playing her just because of that one action. Smash Brothers, a huge fighting game, is known for its characters, and people learn characters from that. I learned about Shulk through Smash Brothers. I play his games now, and I love his games. Hero, I didn't know who that was until Smash Brothers. Played his game, and now I like the Dragon Quest series, and I want to play more of their games. There are so many characters you can pick from to enjoy, and a lot of other games you just can't get with that. Let's go! I did the combo to finish! Yeah! That was so cool. Now this is just a universal thing for every video game, but just learning the game and making everything as optimal as possible. Now, and this is every game. Platformers, you have your speedrunners and who can get every micro dash, micro jump perfect so they can do the course faster. You have RPG players who know how to use their resources smartly and know what skills do the most damage that they can burn through the game. You have loot shooters who know the best loadouts for their games. That's every single game. Fighting games is no exception though. Learning all the combos for every character, going from the basics all the way up to the most advanced stuff, and even doing those advanced stuff, but making them to tweak more damage. Having a combo that does 6,000 damage and tweaking it just a bit and now do 6,500 is just the most nicest thing. It's just the best thing to see. One thing that puts fighting games a little more above other games in this aspect is the DLC. Now, DLC does not only drop a new character that everyone has to learn, but also puts in patches. Patches changes the game so much, and depending on how huge the sizes of the patch can change the meta or how the game is even played in general. There can be small patches that changes just your character, and you have to adjust how you play with that character. Even big patches with those characters might change your whole playstyle with the character, give them new combo routes you have to learn. And being able to pull those combos off in game is super, super satisfying. But huge patches that change the game dramatically, like BlazBlue's 2.0 patch or Dragon Ball Fighterz 3.0 patch, that gives the game a whole new feeling, making it feel like it's a new game, is something that a lot of games you can't get with. The learning aspect of the game, learning combos, learning characters, being able to punish everyone is super satisfying, because when you're able to pull off in game and be fluent with it, is something you can never forget. Thank you for watching the video. Again, this is my opinion. I do have a little bias toward fighting games. I do play a lot of different genres of games. The fighting games have always stuck to me, and I always feel like they always piqued my interest the most because of how much you can do in them and how much time they always take. I always felt like that type of person with single player games. Once you play them, it's like, alright, do I really want to play this again? But fighting games, you really can't like say, alright, there's all I can learn. Like there's always gonna be someone better than you. This was a different type of video, and I hope you guys enjoy it. If you want to go check out some of the other videos, I have a video on a fighting game called Fantasy Strike that I believe that is probably the best fighting game of a current generation or current like era of fighting games, so you guys should go check that out. It's pretty good. Please like and subscribe to the channel to see way more videos like this. Hope you guys have a great day. BlazblueCrossTagBattle out.